good paper.
Nice mic drop.
Yo, this is Sports Rap.
And we're here to say,
We love being here.
in a major way,
We're here to talk sports.
and not to dance.
And if you don't like it, you can kiss that.
Well, that's enough of that. We can
Anyway.
sit down and get on with our show here.
Right on, brother.
What little of it we have.
Anyway. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sports Rap. I'm Mark Johnson, along with Kevin Thornton and Dana Olson. We're like the rap says, we're here to talk sports, not to dance. So if you're going to call in and ask me to dance, forget about it. It's not going to happen. That was as close as I'm going to get to it. So let's talk a little bit about last week. We had a great show last week. I hope everybody watched last week. We had Kermit Washington on here, along with Kevin Thornton was in the studio with us, and Dana brought in a birthday cake for me and all that good stuff. Anyway, I meant to bring this down last week to show this on the air. This is one of the cards from Kermit Washington's company that he puts out there, personally autographed. If we can get a close-up on that. That is an autographed Buck Williams card with the certificate of authenticity. It is individually numbered. It is number 598 of 5,000. And they're really a nice set of cards. Hey, we got a phone call already. I love this.
Wow.
Go ahead, caller.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, how's it going?
Real good. Hey, first of all, excellent show last week. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Many kudos to get Kermit Washington out here.
Thanks.
It was enjoyable having someone of such stature out here to talk to and ask questions to. Anyway, I just, with the tragedy there that happened this week with the Major League pitchers there down in Cleveland, I was wondering how you thought that might change the outlook of the Indian status this year.
Boy, I tell you, I really haven't been keeping up much on the Indians, other than the fact that the tragedy that was the incident that so tragically happened down there. I believe it was in Florida.
Yeah.
With,
so do you think do you think the new manager there for the M's will make a difference? You think the M's will get out of the cellar here?
I think so. I think the M's. I think this is going to be a good year for the Mariners. They've got who is it? Lou Piniella is their manager now.
Yeah.
A fine manager. He brought in the people that he wanted to see in there to help the team, and I really think it's going to help the team this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they're above 500 team this year.
Well, I hope so. Well, I'll tell you, it'd be nice to have a Northwest baseball team, do something here, someone we could root for. They've been the cellar dwellers for quite a while. So.
Oh, definitely. I think that's why you'd like to see it, because they've been in the cellar for so long. There's been a lot of talk about Portland getting their own Major League Baseball team, but the only way that's going to happen is if we can support, if they can support the Mariners.
Oh, we need a stadium before Portland. Before
Right.
Portland gets anything else, we need a dome. I mean,
Definitely.
Just to be serious, the Canadian Football League and they kind of gave us a half-hearted look, and we've had the USFL here or with the Portland Breakers.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even mind making the little commute to Portland to watch a pro game, but. I don't want to sit out in the rain and 32-degree temperatures,
Definitely.
Hey, that's what makes a game.
If the city of Portland and the state of Oregon wants to make a commitment to bring in the money that those sports teams and sports franchises bring to the cities, the Blazers are great, but we're a one-team town with just the Blazers. You got, even Seattle, at least they got a
they've got
a football
all three.
team, a baseball, and a basketball team. They got kind of one in all the majors, but
Right.
it would be so much more if we at least put a dome up. That would be something for out here, out in the suburbs. You'll put a dome out here in the Warren area or something.
Might even draw on a pro football team or
yeah, there
like
you
that.
go. There you
Sure,
go.
I'd like to see that.
There was talk of putting that dome stadium down in Salem. Why put it there? I mean, there's plenty of room out here.
Hey, really? absolutely. Let's do it out here.
You want to improve the quality of St. Helens and improve the stature of St. Helens. There's nothing better than putting a dome.
Yeah, forget Walmart.
Forget Walmart.
Let's
forget
put
all this.
a dome stadium there, and let's really bring some fans here. Walmart people, they're going to go to Longview or Beaverton anyway. So let's bring a sports franchise here.
Sounds good to me.
So we'll get our own major league team going.
I love it. I love it. Bring in.
So another comment with Bo Jackson coming back with his hip replacement. Do you think that's absolutely serious, or do you think he's just going to kind of preseason it and kind of fade out halfway through? Do you think he's going to make a legit comeback this year?
I think he's taking it seriously. I think he wants to. I think only time is really going to tell what's going to happen there. I mean, they say he runs without a limp, and he's doing really well with that artificial hip in there. If he feels comfortable with it, there's no reason why he couldn't play the whole season.
I watched something. It was here on the news here a couple weeks ago about Bo Jackson, and they were showing him at baseball camp, and he was out there hitting the ball, and running around the bases. And I did notice a little bit of a limp, And they asked him about his hip, and he says, well, it could go tomorrow, it could go next week, it could go next year. He doesn't know, but he's going to push it for all it's worth right now.
Yeah, he's going to live for today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, might as well. He's making the big bucks, so he's got nothing to lose.
Well,
so.
put yourself in his shoes. If it were you, would you try and make a comeback for the kind of money that they're going to pay him?
I don't know. With the kind of money he's already made, if it was me, I might just sit back and just enjoy life. He's probably got a pretty nice bankroll rolled up somewhere under a mattress.
I'm sure.
Bo also said that he's not in this for the money at all.
Definitely. I guess if he was, he would probably be sitting on his duff drinking a cold wine there.
And watching baseball games instead of playing them.
Watching baseball, he'd probably be watching you guys.
Right. He'd buy a house here in St. Helens and watch us.
Yeah, there you go, right next to the Dome Stadium, huh?
Right. Down by our IndyCar track.
There you go. Hey, well, that would be something. So. But definitely, and also I'd just like to comment on the tragedy of Alan Kulwicki, the Winston Car Cup champion, who was killed there in the plane wreck. He had done such a fabulous job for his team and winning the championship, and such a tragedy bestowed upon him.
It is, and he's last year's NASCAR defending champion.
Yeah, Winston.
Winston Cup. Yes.
Winston Cup champion, and. I follow NASCAR quite a bit, and Alan Kulwicki is probably one of my most favorite drivers. He's only been in the competition for a few years now, but in that few years, he's already made himself a NASCAR champion, and he proved he could do it. And it's a real tragedy to see him go.
Definitely. So, all right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, very much. Have a nice evening, and. You look awesome there. You guys look like the Blues Brothers.
Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Alrighty. Actually, you remember when we were in high school, we had the Blues Brothers, John Powell and Steve Weaver.
Yeah.
One half of the Blues Brothers is still. It just came back to town for a little while. John Powell's in town.
Oh, John's in town. Hey, John, if you're watching, call in.
Definitely. No, I don't think he's got cable, but you never know. He might be at somebody's house that does.
That's right.
They might flip it.
How do you know?
Because
she knows him.
They were going to bless our baby this evening.
Okay. We have another phone call. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, Mark, great show last week.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, I also wanted to thank you for not dancing tonight, because we usually eat this time in the evening. And but I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the game tomorrow night between Michigan and North Carolina? Who do you think is going to win that?
Is that who's in it?
Yeah.
I didn't even see the final two. I was so busy I didn't get a chance to see the final two.
Michigan.
You think Michigan?
Michigan all the way.
Why? Because your ex-wife's there?
Maybe I hope they lose.
I'd go with North Carolina if I were you.
Yeah.
She's probably going to jinx Michigan.
Michigan's a tough team. They're real tough.
Oh, they both are. Michigan's got who? Chris Webber?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Michigan's the one with the Fab Five, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would have to go. I'd have to say they're strong favorites right now. They've got one of the best teams in college basketball. Their starting five, I mean, anytime you got starting five called the Fab Five, they're good. They call them that for a reason.
No kidding.
North Carolina is always tough. I mean, they've graduated some very good NBA players. Michael Jordan, obviously, who came from North Carolina. But I think this is Michigan's year. I think this is the year they're going to do it.
I hope so.
I think so.
Hey, are you going to get another big name on your show pretty soon here?
Well, Kermit has promised to come back in a couple of weeks and bring some of his products that we talked about a little bit last week. His weight vest that he's got, some of his cards, hopefully, things like that. He's promised that when he gets a little less busy and he has a little more of a chance to bring some of that stuff, that he will come back and he'll show that. Give me some suggestions on who you'd like to see down here, and I'll do my best to try and get them.
Oh God, some of the, it might be easier maybe to get some of like the Portland Beavers down, or if you could get like a box seat or something at one of the games, and start hounding on them, maybe you can talk a few into coming.
That'd be an idea.
Yeah. So, well, I hope everything goes well for you, and yeah, try to get some names down here for us.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. I should try and get a hold of the Blazer office and see who's on the injured reserve. I think Clyde's on the. They'll probably put Clyde on the injured reserve.
Probably.
I have
his hamstring there again.
Yeah, he pulled his hamstring that Washington game. I've got a connection up at the Blazer office. We'll see what we can do. We'll pull a few strings. We have a phone call. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, speaking of the Blazers, with Clyde going down with another hamstring injury, re-injuring his hamstring, and the Blazers just looking absolutely crummy against Washington, and they're looking like a mediocre, average, every ordinary team. What do you think their chances are now through the playoffs?
Well, I mean, they made the playoffs. I mean, they're in the playoffs right now.
They're on the road too. I mean, they were a half game behind San Antonio for the last home court advantage position, and San Antonio hasn't lost, and the Blazers have been losing a couple, so they're slipping.
Well, I'll tell you what. From a media standpoint, a journalistic standpoint, I guess, is the way you want to call it.
Got to make it sound professional.
Right. Being a so-called amateur, I'm an amateur journalist, let's put it that way. I'm an amateur TV journalist. From that standpoint, to be honest with you, I think you're going to see the Phoenix Suns are going to come out victorious as the Western Conference champions this year. Portland, if they have to play San Antonio in the first round, will probably have an early exit out of the playoffs. San Antonio's been hot since they got the new coach. Since Jerry Tarkanian left, they've just been on fire. They've got a good coach with John Lucas. Their team is starting to come together. I think you're going to find that San Antonio, if Portland ends up playing them in the first round, Portland might as well hang it up for the season. I mean, that's not a given. I mean, anybody can beat anybody on a given night. And Portland, as far as I'm concerned, until somebody actually does defeat us, Portland is still the team to beat.
I agree with you, because we are the Western Conference.
We are the defending Western Conference champs. We are still the team to beat, but I just don't think we've got it in us this year. I don't think we're playing with the intensity, do you think the fire is not there.
Do you think the Olympics was too much for Clyde this last year? I mean, doing that, do you think that has preluded some of these injuries that have held him back this year?
Well, I don't think it was just the Olympics. The fact that the Blazers have been in the playoffs, this is the 11th straight year that they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Clyde's been there since 83, 84, which is what, 9 years, almost 10 years? Almost 10 of those seasons. He's got to be tired.
Getting old.
Well, it's not that he's getting old. I mean, he's still got about 3 or 4 good years left to him.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, if he, this hamstring injury, I know it's only a hamstring, but next year it's a toe and then a knee, and
well, he's already had the knee.
It's going to be like he's kind of going to end up like a Larry Bird. His last few years are going to be a lot of injury reserves on the bench and stuff like that. And I sure hope that the Blazers get a championship with Clyde. I mean, he's worked so hard. He's been so underrated. Even with his Olympic status, all the highlight or all the merchandise that's been purchased and bought because of the Olympics, Clyde's not even a part of. The picture on the Wheatie box, there's no Clyde.
As of tomorrow, Clyde is on a Wheaties box.
With the Dream Team, though.
No, by himself.
Oh, I know he is with by himself, but when the picture of the dream team was put on the Wheaties box, but just stuff like that.
Well,
He's been so under acknowledged in this league, you know.
Oh, definitely.
Last year he had MVP numbers in the All-Star game, and because Magic
came back.
Yeah, he hit three-point buckets in a row. He gets the MVP, you know.
Plus, it was his last NBA game.
Yeah, big whoopee. Magic been whomping on our butts for too long. I was glad to see him out of the league. You know.
I have to agree with you there.
I sure would be glad when he's done commenting, because that guy is about the worst commentator out there. He can't talk.
I think Kevin and I do a better job.
I agree with you. I could do a better job.
I think we do. I don't think we could. I think we do.
You do, definitely.
We bring more fun to it, I think, than he does.
English anyway.
Well, yeah, you know.
Well,
anyway. Plus there's a few words we put in there that probably shouldn't, but we do.
So, what do you think where Seattle's going to finish this year? Shawn Kemp's just being a monster, and the Sonics are only a couple games behind Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix has been in a dream season, but if we all take a reality check, I think Seattle's right there, and they're going to be the scary Cinderella of the West.
Yeah, that could be, and again, Seattle's been playing like they're unconscious. I mean, they're just incredible this year. But if you want to talk Cinderella, Portland can still be there.
Well, Cinderella, in the East, I'm going with Atlanta. Dominique is the comeback player of the year. He's out there chasing Michael for that scoring average. And I don't know, I think Atlanta's won like 12 of their last 13 games, something like that.
Including beating us.
Yeah, including beating Portland. But Portland, like I said, they're an average team nowadays.
Right. What do you think about New Jersey?
Well, Petro just went down in New Jersey, and with Petro going down in New Jersey, that kind of, I mean, he's their leading scorer, their leading three-point shooter, he's leading that team. To them, that's equivalent of losing Clyde. And I think New Jersey might, if Petro doesn't come back, they might end up sliding out in the first round.
Yeah.
I think New York is dominant right now. I think Chicago is going to pull Portland. Chicago, I've heard, the team has played 300 games in the last 3 years. With the playoffs, the Olympics, and all that with Jordan and Pippen, I think Chicago's just going to burn out by the time the playoffs get here, and it's going to end up being a New York-Atlanta battle in the East, and it's probably going to end up being a Phoenix-Seattle battle in the West.
Yeah, so that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, that would be, because the last 4 years it's either been Chicago and Portland, or Chicago and LA, or Detroit and LA, or Detroit and Portland. I mean, it's been the four. It's been pretty consistent with the teams that have been there the last 4 or 5 years. So I think this year, especially with the expansion teams, I mean, in the East, you've got Charlotte in the playoffs. Orlando's like a game out of being in the last spot. Yeah. You've got some expansion teams only 4 years in the league, and what's even scarier is if Orlando, if they don't make the playoffs, they're in the lottery.
Yeah.
I mean, they could get another number one,
Chris
number
Webber, or Jamal Mashburn, or
that would be scary. So. And also on the NCAA, I want to say North Carolina. I think everybody's talked about the Fab Five freshmen, the super softs. They're all sophomores this year. I think North Carolina, if you look at the games they've played, they've been outscoring everybody by like 20, 30 points, and they've just been quietly chugging along. Michigan's had the big front page story the whole time, but North Carolina's the team this year, so I won't be at least a bit surprised if North Carolina takes it all. So anyway, I'll let you go now. I've been taking up enough of your time, but thanks.
All right, thanks for calling. Bye now. 397-5886 is the number. I don't have to tell you that. You've been calling in every week. I'll tell you, this has been really good support for this show, and I want to thank everybody for that, because without the viewers out there calling in, we're nothing here. You can talk too, You wanted to be on here. You can talk. Come on, talk.
Let's hear a rap.
No, she doesn't rap.
I told you I wasn't going to do that.
So, what do you want to talk about? Oh, got people poking their heads in here all over the place. Do you like any sports?
Yeah.
Like what? What's What's your favorite sport?
I really don't have a favorite sport.
Okay.
I like a variety of sports.
Okay.
I don't know.
Like, give us some examples.
Race car driving, swimming, basketball, softball, baseball, football.
Well, she knows just about all so far.
Yeah. She knows.
Which she touched on my favorite one. That has to be car racing.
Auto racing.
Yeah, that's
Well,
my big sport here.
I've been to a lot. I've gone up to the
That's
big monster truck races up at the Coliseum. I love going to those. I've been to several car races down here at the racetrack.
let's talk about that a little bit. Now, let's talk about auto racing because I talked to Tom Fisher the other day.
Mhm.
He came into my place of work.
I mean, you do that?
Place of employment.
I thought you just
I'm
went
sorry,
out there.
place of employment. Okay, I don't actually work. I sell auto parts. Okay, I don't actually work for a living.
It's kind of like a vacation, same thing.
Right,
Sell auto parts.
right.
vacation.
I'm paid to have a vacation. In other words, yes. And I mentioned
Well,
it
if
to
you can
Tom.
call it pay.
I get
some-
money. I
right.
get some money.
Bob, we hope you're not watching.
He's not. He doesn't have cable,
No
Good.
cable.
and he doesn't go anywhere that has
Well,
cable.
anyways,
so-
you talked to Tom
Anyway,
Fisher.
I talked to Tom Fisher about that idea you had of getting us a couple booths built
Right.
for our cameras,
Right.
and he was all for it.
So is he
he-
going to build them?
Well, they were going to
Like
be
last year.
they were going to be out there. They were going to be out there working out there today, and he invited us to come out there. But I said, well, I had to work. You know, I
Well, you
couldn't
should
make
have
it up
called me. I
there.
would have went out there.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, I forgot.
I would have went out and drove my Oldsmobile
Around the
Cutlass
track.
Supreme around the
Well,
track.
they were putting clay down on the track today, so
Clay. Hey, we're moving up from dirt.
Yeah, I think
Maybe,
they said. I
maybe
think he
that'll
said
cut down
clay.
on the dust.
I think he did say. Yeah, I think he said they were.
Yeah,
putting
they
some
were
clay
talking
down.
about that last year, bringing clay in,
Yeah.
laying down about a foot and a half.
And we had. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And we have a phone call.
And we
I've been
have a
wanting
phone-
to say that.
We-
Go ahead, caller.
Hi, Mark. How you doing? Kevin, how you doing?
Hey.
Good.
With Dallas winning the Super Bowl this year, what do you think their chances of repeating that are, considering it's been so long since we've had a repeat Super Bowl champion?
I don't know if they're anything like the Dallas Mavericks. Don't look for it.
The Dallas Mavericks, they're going to set one record this year, and that's going to be the worst.
Losingest worst record in NBA history.
Although Jimmy Jackson, their little rookie there that they just finally signed, might save him there if he throws up any more than half-court bombs.
Yeah, I don't know if he can.
Mark, you're shaking.
I'm shaking. Ooh.
Well, also, how much influence on the upcoming football season do you think the free agency is going to have on changing the teams? A lot of players, a lot of big-name players are free agents, and they're signing with other teams, getting some big contracts. Irvin Fryer, longtime wide receiver for the New England Patriots, just signed, I believe, with Miami. That adds him along there with. Who's their tight end they just signed?
I'm not sure. I haven't really.
Miami's tight end.
Keith Jackson.
Keith, there you go, Keith Jackson. That's
Good
gonna,
guess.
Miami. That's gonna put Miami right there. They're gonna have a class of receivers with Duper and Clayton and Irvin Fryer. Dan Marino's been Mr. Rocket Arm there, and I think Miami's going to be a team to watch out for this year. I think Buffalo's done and over with. Buffalo's going to make some
Well, let's hope they are anyway.
major league changes. I'm sick of them. I mean,
Yeah, Buffalo's pretty much dead in the water.
let's put the state champ Lions in there, and they probably could have done that.
I think they could beat Buffalo.
Hey, I'd give them fair money.
During that Buffalo Dallas game, my dad and I were sitting there watching that, and we were beginning to wonder which cheerleader was going to make the next touchdown. That was such a sad game.
I
I've
think my
never seen
brother-in-law
it.
were wondering the same thing.
I've seen some Go Buffalo signs, and they're like been turned into backboards and stuff like that, upside down, painted over. And
I was really hoping Buffalo would win it. I'm not a big.
for him, huh?
Huh?
Kind of felt sorry for him.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Dallas fan. And I'm definitely not a 49ers fan. Definitely not.
I was going for San Francisco, Miami, and neither one of them made it. But I don't know. I think Houston might be there next year for the AFC. They've been right there in the running, and you know, they were kicking Buffalo's butt that one game till Frank Wright, God, at halftime pulled that miracle out of his rear. But I think Houston might be there. You know, the Aints in the NFC, they're
the Aints.
The Aints. Well, you know, they play so good in the regular season, and they haven't even won. What do they want? They're 1-16 in the playoffs.
Yeah, they just ain't got it in the playoffs.
They don't.
The Saints ain't.
You know, so.
The Saints ain't good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look for Miami to be there next year, definitely.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Seattle this year?
Seattle needs to get some big players. You know, they've had some big names up there, but they made a mistake letting Craig go.
Yeah.
They had an injury. Brian Blades was hurt all last year. At least most of the season with that. He got hurt on the first game. Seattle had a real disappointing season last year. They need to make some major changes. Mainly on the offense. They need a quarterback, you know. Joe Montana ain't going to be down there in San Francisco with Steve Young, Steve Bono, and Bill Musgrave on the bench.
Montana, he's going to be somewhere as a backup quarterback next year.
Well, I don't know. I think
How would you like to see Seattle pick him up and get them as their starting quarterback this year?
Oh, definitely.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be awesome.
I'll tell you what. I would drive to Seattle to watch him play if he were playing for the Seahawks.
You wouldn't be driving very much.
It'd be worth the trip. So.
I think it'd be worth the trip to see Montana play up in Seattle.
I don't know. Montana spent a lot of time on the bench, though, too, with injuries and things like that. I think Montana's pretty well.
He is getting old.
He's healthy again.
Yeah, but I think Montana's pretty well washed up. He's not going to be in. My prediction is he's not going to be in another Super Bowl. He's not going to see it. Yeah. And if he does, it's going to be as a backup quarterback.
Yeah, he'll be on the bench.
With all the injuries he's had, the guy is what? How old is he?
He's like 38.
Right. He's just about history,
Hey,
and the guy's made so much money, I don't even know why he's playing anymore.
He needs to make more underwear commercials, I guess.
Right.
No, well, I don't know. I think San Francisco's got way too many good quarterbacks. Like I said, Steve Young is obviously a major starter. Steve Bono filled in admirably, and I'm sure you've all watched Bill Musgrave when he played for the Ducks.
Yeah.
He's more than a talent there once he has a chance to develop.
Do you think he would fit in maybe better in Seattle? I mean, you've already got two good quarterbacks playing for the Niners.
Well, Seattle's kind of hard to say. Their running game has been lost. They need to really do something with their offense and make some changes. They've got John L. Williams, who's outstanding at fullback. They've got the new running back there. I can't think of his name right off the bat. They got rid of Warner and kept this guy.
That may have been a mistake, too.
No, I think Kurt Warner was overrated as a running back, and with the injuries that he sustained, I think his days were numbered and he was done.
Could be.
I can't think of his name. Chris Warren is the new running back for Seattle. Outstanding runner. He came close to setting some records last year. And I think Seattle will do good if they get a quarterback. They haven't had anybody in there consistent, since Zorn, and that's been, quite a few years.
Yeah,
so.
7, 8 years ago anyway.
Oh, I think it's been closer to 9 since
9
Zorn
or
was
10.
there. But it's and Efren Herrera and the kickers there. But
let me ask you this: do you think it would benefit Bill Musgrave if they traded him to Seattle?
Oh,
or
most definitely.
Else?
I believe Bill Musgrave would benefit tremendously. Anytime that you go to, anytime a player of high caliber in any sport goes to a team of, that's struggling and can put his talents to use to help that squad, I believe that does nothing but help the players.
Yeah.
The player involved. I don't know how much Bill learned sitting on the bench most of last year. I only saw him play a few minutes in any of the games that I happened to watch San Francisco. But I believe anybody with his talent would benefit tremendously personally from being thrust more into the starting lineup and the spotlight, especially for a team like Seattle. I hope they do well in the draft. They've done quite tremendously with their defense, picking up Cortez Kennedy. they do have a sound defense there. But the offense, with the quarterbacks they've had, and the injuries they've had with Kelly Stauffer, and some of the, the 30-day signees they've brought in, it just hasn't worked. They made a mistake when they lost Craig to free agency, and I'm hoping that with free agency that a lot of these big name players, with teams like Seattle and like the Pats over there in New England and like Tampa Bay, they can pick up some good players and balance out the league. Make it more competitive.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always nice to see competitive leagues and stuff. Blowout games get kind of boring to watch after a while, especially when it's the Super Bowl. So, but I'm hoping that next year that the Super Bowl will be a little more interesting to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
These blowouts against Buffalo are getting old fast.
Yeah. I got a hockey question for you. Do you keep up much on hockey?
Oh yeah, I've been to a few Hawks games, and I keep up on most of the majors and stuff like that.
Well, what do you think about the new Anaheim Mighty Ducks?
The Anaheim Mighty Ducks, huh?
Is this? It's an actual team. They're coming in next year.
I heard about the Mighty Ducks. There was a comment about it. They couldn't be all bad if they're named the Ducks, because we got Ducks here in Oregon. So. I think hockey has taken some major steps. Hockey has been the first major sport to allow a woman into its ranks. They have that goalie down there. They've had expansion teams. The San Jose Sharks are setting sales records with their team materials all across the country. With big trades, you have many big name players such as Gretzky, Lemieux. They're getting to be more well known through communities such as ours, where hockey has never been a prime sport. And with the sports networks and some of the channels that we have available on cable, it makes it easy to get a bird's eye view of some of the other leagues and stuff like that we normally wouldn't get to see on regular TV. So, but.
Yeah.
I think hockey's going places. I think the Hawks this year are doing outstanding. They just kicked, what was it,
Tri-Cities.
Tri-Cities, but
yeah.
they're
4 games, nothing.
3 games to nothing.
4 games, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe it was
They took the sweep.
But yeah, they swept them. But anyway, I think the Hawks have made tremendous leaps and bounds. I think it was last year they were the last place team, if I'm not mistaken. They finished in the basement last year. And their Joaquin Andujar is an outstanding goalie who played tremendous games. I've seen a game of his, and so I think the Hawks are in line for an outstanding season. Hopefully they can win the championship this year, which would be great to have Portland have that kind of...
At least one championship
really,
this year.
If we can't get a basketball, maybe we can get a minor league hockey championship. So.
Well, what do you think the Hawks did as a major change to put themselves up in first place like that?
Well, last year they had some young talent that I think they've let develop. They had a few rookies last year that are second-year players this year that are growing and maturing. They've also gelled a little bit. As an example, with the Blazers 4 years ago, when they first got all their players together in their regular starting lineup, it took them a year or two to gel, and I think it just took the Hawks a year or so to gel. And with their youth and their talent, their outstanding goaltending, I think they can be there in the top spot for the next year or two. So, and it would be nice to see. It seems like they're either at the bottom or at the top. So. It would be real nice to have them win that championship.
It would be.
So,
all right.
I'd like to see them do it, and I think they will, too.
Yeah. And it'd also be great, with the baseball, again, it kind of goes back to the stadium. If Portland could get a major league team, Beavers, I've been to many Beavers games, and, they're exciting and stuff and all, but, I'd rather go to the preseason games where they play the Phillies. They're the far team of the Phillies, I believe, or something like that.
Twins, I do believe.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Twins.
they used to be a Phillies farm team. I believe it is the Twins now. But you get one or two major league teams in here a year to get to see the big names and stuff. And I think if we had a stadium or a dome, we'd have the big teams, we'd have the big fans, and we'd have the market and the big outpouring for the support for those teams.
Definitely.
But we have no facilities.
Right.
And I hope that the city of Portland, if it's in coincidence or as teamwork with the Blazers, they do get a new stadium or something. But I hope they also consider the stadium to suit other sports besides just basketball.
Definitely.
It'd be nice to have a dome. This town, I believe, is big enough. Tacoma's got a dome. I mean, Portland's bigger than Tacoma. Why not?
Definitely.
So.
All right. Well.
All right. Well, thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks
have a nice evening, gentlemen.
All right. Thanks
Bye.
for calling.
Take care.
397-5886 is the number. We've got about 15 minutes left. 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, we'll go for about another 20 minutes. I think we started a little bit after 6, so we'll go a full hour here. We're talking sports. We're talking just about anything you want to talk. We've talked some hockey and some auto racing and some baseball and some basketball. And
Did you
some
get
football.
a chance to see the Indy race today?
I saw a little bit of it.
Mario Andretti coming out on top.
Did he really?
Yeah, Mario Andretti won it.
Wow.
First race he's won in, I think, 3 years.
Way to go, Mario.
All right, Mario.
All right, we got another phone caller. Go ahead, caller.
Mark,
Yes.
I was wondering if you do your dance.
We did a rap at the beginning of the show. That's as close as I think as I'm going to get.
If you listen to the rap, it says we're here to
would
talk about sports and not to dance. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not gonna make fools out of ourselves.
We do that enough, just putting on the hats and stuff like that.
Well, the dance was just supposed to be between me and him, but
Yeah, but
I know he
This
asked
is-
me to dance with him earlier. I said no way, forget that.
anyway, no, I'd rather talk sports. I'm not a dancer. I'd rather talk sports. I love sports, and that's why essentially I started doing the show, is to talk about sports. If you've got a sports question, that's fine. You still there, caller?
Yeah.
You got anything you want to talk about sports wise?
Yeah. I think Musgrave sucks.
Well, come on, guys. Let's not get vulgar here. Musgrave's an excellent quarterback. Did you have a chance to watch him at all when he played for Oregon? Hello? Whatever. Let's try not to be as vulgar on the calls, folks.
A little joking around is fine, but
Yeah, that's
try and keep it mainly sports and no name calling.
yeah. We're not here.
Leave that to Mark and me.
That's right. We're not here to call anybody names. We're here to have a good time. It is a family show. It is during prime time, if you will.
Hey, yeah, that is right.
Yeah.
We are
You know,
prime
let's. Cool.
Hey,
You going prime time?
hey, we're gonna start
Cool.
going on 11 and go up against Jay Leno. I think we have a better show than Leno does.
Yeah, that could be true. Anyway, we got a phone call. Go ahead, caller.
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead.
What do you think about Magic Johnson?
Magic Johnson.
I'm sitting right here.
I'm right here. What do you think? That's what they called me in high school. I swear, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's his nickname.
Actually,
is Magic.
actually, since junior high, they called me that.
Other
For the
things.
life of me, I don't know why. Actually, that was a joke. I mean, but it lasted for 10, 12 years.
Hey, it's not a joke now.
No,
except
it's-
when
Except when everybody sees
except
me.
when you watch him play basketball. Then it,
No, come on. I'm gonna take.
actually, Mark is a good basketball player.
Yeah.
As far as Magic Johnson, what do you think, Mark?
I liked him. I liked him as a basketball player. To an extent. I wasn't really thrilled with him when he, originally retired, and then decided to come out of retirement for the All-Star game, and essentially stole the All-Star MVP away from Clyde Drexler. I mean, just when it looked like Clyde was going to get some major recognition somewhere, in comes Magic and just steals it away, and I really didn't like that.
My opinion is, Magic.
you're retired,
if he's going to retire. Don't
Yep.
come back just to play one game here,
Yeah.
one game there. Retire and get it over with.
Definitely.
Stay completely out of it.
Yeah.
Sit on the sides, be a sportscaster. Something like that.
What
But
are your
don't-
thoughts on him?
Well, I think he's good. I don't know. I
mean,
think he's good.
you can't doubt his ability. The man was an awesome basketball player in his prime.
That's right.
There was nobody like him. I mean, his rookie season, he played every position, from the point guard to the off guard, small forward, power forward. He played center in the playoffs when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was hurt. I mean, the man had it all. He could do anything. That's why they called him Magic. I mean, he could do anything on the court. He was an incredible talent. You know, and you have to respect that. Just like Julius Erving was and Larry Bird. They were all incredible talents in their prime, but you know, now all three of those guys are retired, and you've got a new wave of players in the NBA that are just as good. Some of them are even better. Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler, Shaquille O'Neal, Patrick Ewing. They're all wonderful basketball players. And
my opinion on Magic, I think the only reason that he came back to play in the Olympics was for the money. You know,
Well,
that last burst of money. Because you know, the guy.
you don't think it was for the glory?
No, definitely not.
Just to prove that he could still do it, even though he had HIV?
Might have been.
I think that was part of it. You know,
I think the biggest reason was, you know, were other reasons. I don't think it was, you know, I think he wanted the glory of it, you know, to be in the spotlight one more time.
yeah.
You know, which I didn't really think was that fair. You know, because
Yeah, there were other talented players that could have been there.
Right,
Shaquille
right.
O'Neal could have been there. From
right.
Do you think he's a good sports commentator?
Magic. Personally,
So-so.
I think he's so-so. I don't think he's. Of course, he's just starting out as a sports commentator. So anytime you're just starting out, you know, I mean, look at me. I just started doing sports commentary. What? Not even just a little about a year and a half ago.
God, look at me. I started a couple months ago.
He started a couple of months ago, and he's doing pretty good. It takes a while, you know. He's not going to be a, you know, a professional overnight, you know. Not like he was a basketball player, you know. It's a whole different ball game when you're behind the microphone, and it's a lot tougher. I was never really a major basketball player in high school or anything, so I don't.
No, but you tried,
don't
and
know.
that's what counts.
You know, I don't know the big transition from going on the court to behind the microphone, but speaking from the standpoint of being behind the microphone, it's not as easy as a lot of these guys make it look.
Well, look at me. When I started helping you doing sportscasting and things like that, I had no idea what the rules to basketball were, you know, or any of the players. Now, you know, I'm getting into it. I like watching basketball, and I enjoy being you know,
part of it.
in front of the camera,
Yeah.
you know, and talking about it and things like that. You know, I'm still learning. I don't know that much, but you know,
But it's fun to learn.
it's fun. It's a lot of
It's a
fun.
real kick.
Do you think Michael Jordan's better than Magic Johnson?
I think Michael Jordan is in a universe all by himself. The man is incredible.
He can jump there by himself.
Yeah, he could probably jump over the moon.
I don't think he's that good.
Oh, I'll tell you. Would you have a different opinion of him if the Blazers had drafted him?
No,
Really?
really,
Why is that?
Are you a Blazer fan?
no.
Are you a basketball fan at all? I mean, you sound like you are.
I like the Lakers a lot.
I'm going to turn my hat around.
that's
Lakers,
not
I'll turn
good.
my hat around, you know.
I'll turn my hat around too. I wish I had a Blazer hat, but I don't. This one's on loan to me.
I like that one too.
Shaq. I mean, I don't like Michael Jordan as a person. I think he's really a cocky kind of guy, and he thinks he's better than everybody else. Which, I mean, he's proven. I mean, he's proven to be the best basketball player on the planet. I mean, let's face it. But personally, now this is my honest opinion, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Blazer fan. I believe that Clyde Drexler is just as good, if not better, a basketball player, skill-wise, as Michael Jordan. And he may not prove it against him when they play each other, but I'll tell you what, I think, you know, Clyde can do anything that Michael can do.
I know.
And
If not, he can come real close to it.
Clyde has done some incredible things in his career. When he was in his first couple of years. I mean, I've seen videotape footage, and I can remember him doing it, taking off from the foul line and slamming it. I mean, that's a 15-foot long jump. And he was doing it like it was nothing.
Right.
You know, I don't know if it has something to do with the afro that he had, that he filled it with helium or something, but I don't know. But the man is incredible, and he's still incredible today. And I've had an opportunity to meet with Clyde Drexler and talk to him. I haven't yet had that opportunity with Michael, but I can say from experience that Clyde Drexler is a class act to interview as well, and he is probably one of the best interviews in the NBA, that I've seen. I've seen a lot of people interview a lot of different players, and Clyde has got probably the most class of any NBA player I've ever seen. He's not stuck on himself. He's very unselfish, and he pays a lot of recognition to his teammates. And Michael Jordan might do that once or twice a year.
He's too stuck on himself to do that.
No, Clyde
After the finals he does. He'll say, well, it wasn't all me, Scotty did a lot, and so-and-so did a lot, but he's thinking, hey, I did it all,
Well, and the press doesn't help, the press.
No, the press hypes him up.
Every time you see something about the Bulls playing, it's always Michael Jordan,
Scottie Pippen.
Usually Michael Jordan.
No, but Scotty's getting a lot of the recognition.
Whereas the Blazers, it's not. It may be Clyde, but when you talk to Clyde, it's not
Terry,
Clyde,
it's Cliff, it's Buck, it's Duck, it's Rod, it's Mario, Mark Bryant. It's Tracy Murray.
My choice to interview any NBA player, I'd probably like to go Clyde Drexler.
Yep.
No, Clyde Drexler.
I've seen Michael Jordan. No, not him. I'm
I'll
not
tell you what. Just for the recognition, I would love to interview Michael Jordan. Who wouldn't? I mean,
I have no desire.
I do. I mean, if it, it's just a personal goal. I mean, what about Shaquille? Would you like to interview Shaquille?
You bet. You bet.
I would love to interview Shaquille O'Neal. If you had your choice of any NBA player you could interview, who would it be, caller? Hello?
Magic Johnson.
Magic?
Yep.
Why?
Okay.
Because I think he's the best.
He's what?
He's the best? Well, in his prime, he was. I mean, there was nobody better than him in his prime. But okay, let me rephrase the question. Of the current NBA players, of the ones that are actually playing right now, who would you like to interview the most? If you had an opportunity.
Probably Clyde Drexler.
There you go. There you go. He is a class act all the way.
Clyde is gives the true definition of a team player, whereas Michael Jordan, it's all a one-sided thing.
Yeah,
with
in
Michael.
Chicago, it's all Michael.
Right. Whereas Portland, it's the team, and that's the way that Clyde projects it. Clyde, every time you talk about it, they ask, well, what's the problem? He say, well, it's a team thing. Whereas Jordan would be, oh, well, it's this person or this person or this person. Well, Clyde takes upon himself to make it a team thing, a team issue, and not necessarily trying to point the blame at somebody else.
Definitely. Anything else you want to add real quick, caller? We're running short on time.
Oh, no, not really.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye.
Good night.
All right.
Bye.
We're about ready to wrap this baby up. We got one more minute here. I don't think we're going to have time for another call. I do want to thank Kevin Thornton and Dana Olson for coming on here tonight and being in the studio with me.
We do have one more call.
We're going to take one more call. One more call. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, Mark, I didn't see you guys over there at the Coopera Relays Saturday.
Well,
Saturday I was down at the Racquetball Club covering an exhibition match between Pat Cherry, Chad Cherry, Vince Kelly, and John Weatherby.
I'm going to try to get Vince on here.
Yeah, I talked to Vince. I'm going to try and set it up to get all four of those guys down here next week.
Okay.
I've got some good footage of the exhibition match that they played, and I've got some interesting things to show you when we come back on that show. So.
Pardon? Oh, definitely. Anything else you want to say, caller?
No, none really.
Okay, I would love to have been at the Quappa Relays, but I had to work yesterday. Kevin was covering something else for us. You know, if people out there want to see this, there's a couple things they can do. One, they can come down here and volunteer, or if they've got a video camera, they can go and tape it. Get us a copy of the tape and we'll play it. We don't have a problem with that because this is your community TV station, and we want to see more people get involved. And I've said this a couple times in the past couple weeks. With my work schedule the way it is, and with Kevin's work schedule the way it is, we just don't have the time to get to hardly any of these baseball or softball or track meets or golf tournaments. We just don't have the time, and we're going to need more volunteers out there. So if anybody out there is watching, and I know there's people out there watching, I know you're out there, I can hear you breathing. Please come down and volunteer, and we've got schedules down here, so you can look at it and say, okay, hey, I'm free that day, I can go out and do that. And if you can run a video camera, then you can tape a sporting event. So get down here, volunteer, and we always need more volunteers.
Always.
Definitely.
Always.
We're going to wrap this baby up. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports Wrap.
I would like to say one thing. We're going to try and do this at the end of each show. I want to remind people that drinking and driving kills people.
Definitely.
So whatever you do, please don't drink and drive.
Yep. It's getting to be the summertime season.
Right.
It's coming up.
Yeah, a lot of you kids are going to go out and go to these kegers and things like that. You know, I've been there. I know what it's like.
Been there, done that.
I've been there, done that. But I've also seen people killed. I've also had a couple of my friends killed. So please, whatever you do, don't drink and drive out there.
Amen. And just say no.
And just say no.
Just say no. Right on, brother.
Right on.
Let's keep you all alive out there, okay? On behalf of Kevin Thornton, Dana Olson, I'm Mark Johnson saying,
Yo.
Yo.
TV Raps.
Good night, everybody.
Charming.